Hello everyone, this is TheNelston. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm here to talk about one of the best builds I've ever seen that just somehow works. Now, full disclaimer, this is not overpowered, it's not anything like that, but it is a really unique playstyle, and I think a lot of people might enjoy kind of messing around with it and seeing whether or not it fits them. And that build is, if you read the title, the Greedy Shaman. Effectively, what this build is you're using your melee attacks and totem attacks, which is then used to heal you through the Greed Measure ID. And yeah, it has pretty great damage and very good sustainability. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into things. To start things off, we're going to take a look at the items that the build comprises of. So we have the Shawl of Gaia for the helmet, the Elysium Engraved Aegis for the chestplate, Second Wind for the leggings, Kickback for the boots, Old Keeper's Ring for ring number 1, Ring of Rubies for ring number 2, Knucklebones for the bracelet, Recalcitrance for the necklace, and finally the End as our main weapon. I know that a lot of people have been in my comments recently talking about, hey, make sure you update this build for 1.20.3, but I just want to point out, most people are still playing on the release version of the game, not the hero beta, and there's really no idea when 1.20.3 is going to come out. I don't know, at least. So I want to talk about the build as it currently is. And to be honest, I mean, nothing is going to change for the next update, except you're going to lose a little bit of DPS. All the skill point assignments are still going to be the exact same. Your effective HP is going to be identical. Your heals are going to be identical. Everything is going to be identical, except you're going to lose about 1 to 2k DPS, which is a lot, but again, it's not a big deal. So to start off, we're going to take a look at the melee stats. The average DPS is 22.3k, and the attack speed is, of course, super fast. Totems are going to heal you for about 439 health per second. The effective HP is going to be about 68,000, or, close to actually 69,000, which is nice. The effective HP regen is about 1025, and the regular HP regen is 218. The mana steal is going to be negative 28, so there's a good chance you're not going to have any mana at all most times. You have negative 4,595 effective lifesteal, so you are going to be bleeding a lot if you're not picking up those emeralds. A 65% chance to proc exploding, 88% walk speed bonus. The attack speed bonus is 5 tiers, which means that, I checked the trade market earlier, I couldn't really see any good knucklebones that had 3 tier attack speed for cheap. So even if you have a bad knucklebones that only gives you 2 tier attack speed, you will still be able to use this build with super fast. The jump height bonus is 2 blocks, the combat XP is 43%, the loot bonus is 78%, which is actually kind of nice, and finally the stealing percentage is 17%. So you might be looking at the DPS and going, hey, wait a minute, that DPS isn't all that great. And you'd be correct, it's actually kind of trash. However, if you want to improve the DPS, there are a couple things you can do. First off, if you just stand within your own totem, you're immediately going to boost your DPS up to like 30,000, right? And the other big thing you can do is, because you're going to be at low health most of the time, if you're in raids, I'd highly recommend you go for anything that gives you Savior Sacrifice, because that'll boost your damage significantly. And if you can, also try to powder your stuff with Earth Powder just for the rage abuse, because man, rage abuse is just disgusting with this build. But if you're lazy and you don't want to spend money on Earth Powders but if you're not in a raid so you can't get Intrepid, or you're not really bothered to put Earth Powders on your armor, then yeah, you can go ahead and just use your totem for a 35% damage bonus. So what are some of the upsides of this build? Well, the first big pro is that it is extremely fun to use. I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's not meta at all, I feel like, but having to reposition your totem, having to get away from that boss, while also trying to maintain a close enough distance to hit them with all 3 of your shaman shots, I think it's just fun. It's loads of fun, and that's probably the biggest reason anyone would want to use this build. But of course, there are a couple other reasons. The next reason being that this has pretty decent effective HP. Sure, I mean, it's nothing crazy, right? But on a class that's as glassy as Shaman, having 63k EHP is actually pretty nutty. So yeah, I think overall, that's probably another one of the really big pros. And finally, one of the big ones I think is that it's pretty easy to use as compared to things like spell spam. It's not ping reliant, as I mentioned before in my melee archer video, so yeah, you can usually count on this build allowing you to survive much longer than if you were to lag with like a spell spam or spell steal build. Another great pro is that this build is not going to be affected by CCI as heavily as things like, for example, aura spam. And that's just because, I mean, there's not much CCI to speak about in the first place, right? You're using melee shaman, so yeah, no problem with CCI. Now, what are some of the cons of this build? Well, the first big con is that it is very RNG reliant. If you don't proc stealing and you don't get the emeralds to heal, then there's a very good chance you'll just straight up die. Another big con is that it is not exactly very meta. Most shamans nowadays will use aura spam or things like that, but yeah, this build is just weird. It's very bizarre, and the playstyle is not necessarily for everybody. Okay, so let's go ahead, jump into Kira, and see what this puppy can do. So immediately what you want to do is throw down your totem and just start whacking away at the mobs. You'll see my health does drop a little bit, and my mana also just gets obliterated, but see, look at that. The emeralds are actually healing a pretty incredible amount. And in terms of damage, well, the damage is questionable, I'll say. But hey, you know what? I'm alive, right? Alright, there we go. So you saw that was kind of a really hectic fight, but can you tell me that doesn't look fun? I mean, come on. So you just saw that this was an incredibly fun fight. My health did drop absurdly low at times, but it's important to remember that your totem still heals about 430 health per second, so you should be able to stay alive. Plus you have positive HPR, unlike most other stealing builds. And I mean, what else do I have to say? This is just something that you really cannot find in other builds, so I highly encourage you to give it a try. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you liked the video, leave a dislike if you hated it. Subscribe for more content like this, and as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.